My never I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there. O see them yopo.
Inti the Supreme Court now had to say you can freeze the account only to the extent of the tainted transaction, and that is 23,000. Inti no, obey me withdraw everything in the account, save the 23,000. But what I say?
Oh, Serbia's can buy 100,000, 1 million Ghana cedis in the demo. Obey me, you be an waja 23,000
because that is the subject of whole investigation.
Me pass me bo. And our mind now who do a mind sika. Actually, who die and fear what?
No, because there were other charges involving procurement of fertilizers. And some fertilizer. Sadio Agongo company supplied to Cocoa. So there were other charges. But in respect of the bank account, in the Supreme Court can say, the bank details, no, and the freezing, no, has nothing to do with those other charges, no. Those other charges have to do with procurement of fertilizer. What has that got to do with the bank details? And that is how come the Supreme Court, in the case of Republic versus the Republic versus High Court, Financial Crime Division, expert Dr. Stephen Kwabnopuni, Yoko as an interested party now. Supreme Court, I can say, only the 23,000 tainted transactions should be frozen. The rest of the account should be open to him. And that day at the Supreme Court, it was bloodbath. The justices of the Supreme Court did not take kindly with the conduct of Yoko. The record of proceedings is an unreported case. Now, Kwame, what makes Hanan's one a bit fascinating in say, it does appear, say, most of the transaction have to do with a number happening using the bank account. And that is where maybe the distinction can be drawn. But it's curious, and some very interesting legal things are coming out. And you've asked them. One, the local courts, now courts know a freezing account based on charges that were filed. Now, the Attorney General subsequently withdraw those charges now. But you know withdraw those charges now. Now immediately Osacho, right at the premises of the court, Osacho, does that extinguish that order?
And only the premises of the example now.
Because one would say Yoko has the power to administratively freeze the account. And then within 14 days we'll go for freezing confirmation. Now the question is, was that done by Yoko? Two, were criminal charges filed immediately? Now, does it suggest that the mere filing of the new charges restored the old order? And I say, when those new charges were filed, the state prosecutors, when they went to court, did they urge on the court to restore the same conditions and prevailing? These are matters that we need to interrogate further, because we need those additional information to do a fair assessment of how the situation. But you see, Kwame, you see, on this your platform, I've always said something. As public servants, a risk in Kwa. The occupational hazards are so much. Oh dear, why Jim Fita me so me mind. one or two issues. Since you see a criminal investigation, what happens? What happens? In this specific case, Sekobane said, and let me make this point. You see, imagine we had woken up, sorry, one day in the SEO, Sebi, Ebia Hanan, and let me use somebody else. I'm not case no customer. Judge a man who crying. Judge no man who crying. We're too crying. One maybe. What would have happened in this country?
Hey, Mwashada! And I'm pressing what now? Say, Sedinam, Tamakrudian be a part 1 and 2.
So you see, sometimes.
Cancel. Eti ebeba se e bia na iPhone so ehunu saade we eti de bia wo mo so e take steps to avert se bia obekọ na wamba
one will say no sebi not even the devil knows what is in the mind of an individual.
No,
in fact, to be honest, my further checks need to say I'm not a same way by Hanan echo court in so February he also be breach for some personal medical reasons. In the court no craft fair prosecutor because prosecutors no oppose as the man who crime. And as a judge no ma or more who crime man into crime. Into a judge makes okay, there must be a basis on which I must say man of crime. When you pay also a call for particular medical attention. That attention, the only reason I'm in more attention for better again and say, obey the same care in Ghana.
Okay.
The Kobane said, obey the same care in Ghana, dear. And they only mean the need for him to travel. Say that particular way now be also a if that can be gotten here in Ghana, that appears the answer was not satisfactory to the judge. The best engine or man who crime. I feel that by law, if the Attorney General was not happy with the decision of the trial judge now, ABR, they could have appealed it. Majority say, say ABR appeal beyond customer. It may suggest that Omoni judge no higher than you may disagree with the judge, but you accept the verdict. If you are not money higher than I think. Because yes, then to the extent that judge no the man who can say only way no, you may be entitled to, unless of course new and fresh evidence had come. Now this is where it gets very interesting. At what time in a new evidence in a Bible thing? Did the new evidence come at the time when the judge was so stupid, so that you could have quickly approached the judge and say, "Oh my Lord, what that you have on my head? Said you who this A, B, C, D information. What you make me say, how? Said you remember on an area echo through criminal trial. Said and you do make me Johnny here, and
you do be a prinity.
Oh, Ebia, I'm saying that it's a valid point of view and make he said. I
want to mean that.
Go through the trial. Or no, me a man won't mean Johnny and Yana, no. That's also a point that can be strongly made. The other point that can also be made is that Attorney General, the point now on that, because according to Attorney General, the maintenance almost requires some withdrawals from the bank. And to the extent so requires that kind of withdrawal, their fear was that Okwa or Maki. That is why they took that extraordinary step.
Counsel,
I want to, yes,
dear Marty say a lawyer for the defendant, no, and they about to judge me say. One was one more. Godfred Damini was say one provide the evidence that said there was an attempt. So basically clear sky one account.
So I think today, this morning, I think the Attorney General's people must be telling the judge something. It's important for the rule of law.
One must say a complete violation of a court order. A man hanan kwanse onko. Now we go do airport. Amusuma kwa chenu. Now we move back to actually court na jina so no court na site or Attorney General for contempt. What would you say?
One will say the constitutional democracy area. Nobody is above the law, not even the Attorney General. And so, if they believe that they have a valid order of a court, then Attorney General violate here, it's within their right perfectly to bring contempt proceedings. Mindful said the Attorney General also would have the opportunity to defend him or herself as far as the matter is concerned. One would say the thing with prosecution and everything, you wouldn't have the opportunity to tell the people of Ghana that we made a mistake in such a way that we allow the person, if he doesn't come back again, what will happen? What will the people of this country say? If it turns out that the man that is being prosecuted continues to cry and able to has happened. And let me tell you, look, Mekai Emrana represented Mr. Asofo because you now Mekai said there was a day we had to, you see, and because he was also the ranking on the finance committee, almost call IMF spring meetings now. As the ranking on the finance committee, sometimes he had to go. And so usually I would have to go to the High Court and make a prayer for his passport to be released. Sometimes by the time they go through the process, not passport may be released. No. Now, said you normal year spring meetings. Okay, I'm not representing Colindada and so agreement. The same thing. This said, but you see, what help?
Council and Saba about Manso. Council Sam Wakwa baby.
You see, the enemy.
I tell you,
Brother, major so.
Young call.
Good. You see, the point that I'm making, and then it's some of the price additional facts. Everything up why am I a fair assessment? Because you see, the AG is coming from the point of view itself. Let me tell you, assuming itself, the opportunity is given. Only partner to crime. Not say you one back. Unlike the two examples, Nanema and the people were MPs. What I say, the Speaker of Parliament, extra at the council. But you see, some of these issues have all become matters because ordinarily it shouldn't be difficult for an accused person to be permitted to travel. But one is the recent conduct of some accused persons or persons who are under investigation and others. Ama Ubia be apprehension. Ubia enter situation where somebody wants to make a mistake. Look, Mekai, I'm not senior friend of Dr. This trial involving the Kenoforiata. All the issues that came back, the fact that also crying, the fact that she was start a man who crying, to crying, I'm a lawyer for, and all kinds of things. So I'm not be apprehensive. You should not be the case ordinarily. It should have been so easier to allow an accused person the opportunity to travel. come back and face the trial. It should have been easy. But when we said you open a car, I can catch and you say, make sure say, yeah, it's a mra, you do in a day, attack and run it. But what is that, madam?
What can you say? You both in some ra, yich.
And that is why it has become a bit easier to Hanan, the team fitter of a back. But if you know, not even the devil knows what is in your head. It's unfortunate. What did I say? It's unfortunate. But that is what we've got into. But particularly if it's about medical reasons. But it's unfortunate.
I see. Now, indeed, and I ain't record to name. Now, say, and there be one best cited.
I think that with this new development, it's important that the AG immediately appraise the cost of this new development so that the court can make an informed decision based on this new development. Because once there is a valid, sufficient order of a court, I think that whatever new development must be quickly made available to them. So even if the case is not up for court today, I think the circumstance requires that they go back to the judge and immediately appraise for this new development.
Mammy Muso, so I'm going to do court to the name. Now, I'm going to be a Tressa and Panka. There was an attempt to set what you need the bank accounts.
That will be problematic. That will be problematic.
And next as I watch that and son the beer, a jinube to Sana Moy. Now be an egg in a sword, a dance him.
Yeah, because you need to really go and tell the judge something. Regardless of what you have to go and tell the judge something. Because you see, like I said, there's an order. So who take this extraordinary step? You need to let the judge know why the order you think it should not be obeyed. Maybe the AG should have appealed the decision immediately when it was given. It would have
Council. Being sure, no, only problem be I was a decision. No, I caught no my name. Ebra, who said there is an attempt.
This attempt, in Ama Ebia was an argument. And in America, so it's important there. Whatever evidence is not so be our ordinance will be he needs to quickly let the judge know. And that will put matters in proper perspective. You see, the other thing, and it's a black woman. Hello, black woman.
Whoa.
The court will make an order in favor of the attorney. I want to believe that the attorney general would want it to be respected. It's the same way. The court needs to make an order in favor of the accuser. All the parties must respect it. So, if there are new developments, I think it's important. It's in another minister say this information about the oil withdrawal was it an information that came at a time that it was impossible to go back to the court? We need to interrogate that. That Bena Otu Sana Mono, if they are to withdraw the money or the funds from the account, that Ben, was it Thursday? Was it Wednesday? Was it Tuesday? What day was it? If you understand your money, but
now, Abraham knew didn't come away, pen come out only a day. We are seeing it here. We says our accounts stands frozen, and now say at the same.
So technically, the account, at least we must see a valid order of the court saying that the account has been unfrozen. It should be specific. The order should be specific. But what they are saying,
okay,
the order should be specific. that upon hearing application by so and so on this day, the court hereby unfreeze the account number. So usually it's also freeze now. It has said
Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
The opportunity to see our clients at all. Indeed, we were told flatly that they don't allow lawyers to see their clients on weekends. And that's quite perplexing. I'm surprised. If a person is arrested, say on Friday night or Saturday, he will be in without access to counsel. I mean, that's the republic in which we live now. And indeed, he's been picked up for no reason. As far as someone said, he's just been banded off into custody for no reason whatsoever. He's been given the right to leave the country, to travel to the country for a few days by a court of competent jurisdiction. The Deputy Attorney General himself was in court and argued, and this colleague of mine argued that day. And if indeed he had any objection to the order granted, he only had to appeal. But he had to resort to this surreptitious means of preventing from traveling. I think that this is totally unwarranted and unnecessary. There's no order of any court of competent jurisdiction preventing from accessing his account. Okay. The only order that they had was procured over a year ago before the discontinuance of the earlier prosecution. And we have a court ruling, a ruling of the High Court Adenta about 3 weeks ago to the effect that that order has lapsed. And that if the Attorney General indeed desires to come for a fresh freezing order, he has to apply to the court. He has not done so. There is no order of any court preventing from accessing his funds. Be that as it may, he has not accessed any funds at all. He should produce to the public, to the whole Ghanaian Republic, for us to see the manner in which he claims Hanan attempted to withdraw any money from the account.
Food buffer stock company Hanan Abdul Wahab say they've been denied access to his legal team following his rearrest. He is currently in the custody of the Bureau of National Intelligence.
Former National Food Buffer Stock Company CEO Hanan Abdul Wahab is facing multiple charges of stealing and causing financial loss to the state. An Accra High Court on 29 June 2026 granted him permission to travel to London for a medical appointment. The court ordered that his passport be made available to him to enable him travel. He was, however, arrested by law enforcement officers. Deputy AG Dr. Justice Rimsai explained he had attempted to fraudulently empty his bank account. His lawyers have, however, been disputing this narrative, accusing the state security of breaching the orders of the court. They maintain he has not attempted to effect any withdrawal of funds.
Well, lead counsel for the ex-NAFCO CEO Godfrey Yeboah-Dame has been speaking to us on his rearrest.
We were not given the opportunity to see our client at all. Indeed, we were told flatly that they don't allow lawyers to see their clients on weekends. And that's quite perplexing. I'm surprised. If a person is arrested, say on Friday night or Saturday, he will be in without access to counsel. I mean, that's the republic in which we live now. And indeed, he's been picked up for no reason. As far as someone said, he's just been banded off into custody for no reason whatsoever. He's been given the right to leave the country, to travel to the country for a few days by a court of competent jurisdiction. The Deputy Attorney General himself was in court and argued, and this colleague of mine argued that day. And if indeed he had any objection to the order granted, he only had to appeal. But he had to resort to this surreptitious means of preventing from traveling. I think that this is totally unwarranted and unnecessary.
Yeah, so the Deputy Attorney General also took to his Facebook post to make some comments that your client attempted emptying his frozen bank account. How true is that? That
claim is totally false. It's untrue. Did he produce to the public any evidence? Did he produce to you the manner or the evidence of the manner in which he attempted to withdraw? Because there's no such evidence. It is not true. My client has never attempted to withdraw any money from his account, even though it is important to state that presently there's no order of any court of competent jurisdiction preventing from accessing his account. The only order that they had was procured over a year ago before the discontinuance of the earlier prosecution. And we have a court ruling, a ruling of the High Court Adenta about 3 weeks ago to the effect that that order has lapsed. And that if the Attorney General indeed desires to come for a fresh freezing order, he has to apply to the court. He has not done so. There's no order of any court preventing him from accessing his funds. Be that as it may, he has not accessed any funds at all. He should produce to the public, to the whole Ghanaian Republic, for us to see the manner in which he claims Hanan attempted to withdraw any money from the account. He has not issued any check. He has not executed any withdrawal note served on any bank. So how did he attempt to withdraw funds? And indeed, how do you access funds which are held in a frozen account, according to Attenjua? According to Attenjua, the account is frozen. If the account is frozen, how do you withdraw money from the frozen account? I think it's just an attempt to prevent him from traveling. And I'm quite surprised that the Attenjua himself will be complicit in a direct contravention of the rights of an accused person standing trial before the court. When the Attenjua himself was in court and argued, and the court granted him the permission to travel, why then does he resort to all these unlawful means?
Where was your client going to, and how many days is he going to spend?
He was going, the order given to him was for him to travel on or before the 4th of July and expiring on the 12th of July. So he was supposed to be back in the Republic. Indeed, his ticket even shows, I think he was supposed to be back even on the 11th, not even on the 12th that the court had given to him. And he was going through it. And then now today has been banded off and withdrawn in BNI custody.
Away from legal issues, the deadly floods may have receded, but the destruction left behind continues to devastate families across Accra. At Ablekuma Pentecost Junction, collapsed buildings, damaged businesses and a failed drainage system stand as stark evidence of years of infrastructure neglect. Stanley Nibleu has more.
The recent floods in the Greater Accra region left behind a trail of destruction after claiming multiple lives. At Ablekuma Pentecost Junction in the Ghana Central Municipality, the scars of the disaster remain visible and dire. Collapsed structures and deep erosion have ripped through homes, shops and other properties after floodwaters washed away their foundations. Runoff from several upstream communities is channeled through a natural water course into a narrow, unfinished storm drain that residents say has long been unable to contain the volume of water. During the construction of the Pentecost Inner Road, part of the drainage system was built but never extended, leaving fast-flowing water to empty into a vulnerable section of the community, triggering persistent flooding and severe erosion. Successive downpours have widened the channel, further weakening the surrounding land. The torrential rains of Monday, June 29, 2026, worsened the already fragile situation, with raging floodwaters bringing down buildings located along the waterway. Several businesses, including pubs and shops, have suspended operations after their premises and customer sitting areas were extensively damaged. The destruction did not end there. Commercial activities at Express Gas have also come to a halt after flash floods severely damaged the station. Fortunately, there was no fuel in stock at the time of the incident. The gas storage cylinder has since been evacuated, while the affected section has been cordoned off by NADMO. The devastation has also extended to culvert and drainage infrastructure, with the eroded land now threatening sections of the road. Efo Besa has worked as a booking officer at the local taxi station for more than a decade. He describes the scale of destruction. His account is echoed by Naomi, a trader whose business was also affected.
All of a sudden,
for many residents and business owners, recovery is expected to take months, if not years. Until the long-delayed storm drain is completed, residents fear every heavy rainfall will continue to threaten lives, destroy property and wipe out livelihoods. Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's take you to the Western North region, where the regional ministers attributed the increasing severity of flooding in the region to human activities, particularly illegal mining. Well, he is urging residents, developers and local authorities to strictly adhere to planning regulations to help reduce the occurrence of floods and the impact they come with. A report by Matthew Ayabe.
Flooding has been a recurring challenge in the Western North region for many years. However, according to the regional minister, the intensity of this year's floods is unprecedented. He said the worsening situation is largely the result of the actions and inactions of residents, including environmental degradation caused by illegal mining and indiscriminate development. The minister stressed that while natural factors contribute to flooding, human activities continue to increase the risk, leaving many communities vulnerable during the rainy season.
What we are seeing this year is very huge. And it's attributed to the actions and inactions of the citizenry. So what we are saying is that we should be careful of our lifestyle, the way we live. There are people who collect refuse from their homes and then dump them in gutters. And if you block the waterway like that, definitely when it rains, they will go out of the gutters, find their own level. The same way, we can talk about illegal mining activities. Some of the flood-prone areas has been exacerbated because of all these illegal mining activities. And also those who build in waterways, they know clearly this is a waterway, but they put up structures there. And we are sounding caution to all developers to ensure that wherever that they put their building, they have the right permits.
The minister also cautioned developers to obtain the necessary permits before putting up any structure. He charged the metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives to ensure that building permits are issued only after confirming that proposed structures are located on approved sites and away from waterways and other flood-prone areas.
In this regard, the municipal and district chief executives and the team have very strong role to play to ensure that they give permits to people if they are at the right place, but not in waterways.
For TV3 News, Matthew Ahiave, also.
Still on floods, the Ochehene Osajafo Amoetia Oforipenin says the yearly occurrence is largely driven by poor human attitude towards the environment. Speaking at a Durban, he's been urging citizens to reconnect with nature by improving environmental discipline and conservation practices.
Osajafo Amoetia Oforipenin acknowledged that while weak planning and poor disaster prevention contribute to flooding, human behavior remains the key driver, citing indiscriminate dumping, blocked waterways, and erosion of traditional environmental safeguards.
Now say, near to one crime, and young cranko, and I say my two on so at all. A bit me to be a so would the unum say now to bola a good baby, who will be anyhow.
So rubbish and discriminating around, that is wrong. Let us keep our environment clean. The Minister for Local Government, Rural Development and Religious and Chieftaincy Affairs, Ibrahim Ahmed, reaffirmed government's commitment to equitable distribution of development projects to strengthen governance and accountability. He also raised concern over rising drug and substance abuse among young people, directing state agencies to arrest and prosecute bar operators and vendors who sell alcohol to minors.
The more most I want to say, but see what's right here. Less than 15.
Today I'm mixing a lot of things, cannabis, alcohol, and tramadol. We will clamp down on vendors, license or not, who sell these products to minors.
Akwadano yes onim ni oyo enti wo awoton san menim se wo license so wa na wo si apata ye nya so mu a ye ne obedi enti mo ye ni.
On chieftaincy, the Ochehene warned against political interference in traditional authority matters, stressing that such actions undermine the autonomy of the chieftaincy institution.
Saban small dia na sene wa ye
should not interfere in chieftaincy issues, though the president opposed that.
President Mahama and the President and
Chief of Staff Julius Debra reiterated government's commitment to expanding agricultural investment, particularly oil palm cultivation in the Achimi area, to create jobs and boost production for local and export markets.
Idea about what I am saying, any idea friend red gold, and no, it just been fun to and you say, when you are not known, near him for a casa, now can you be as a CB at
We're hoping that Ochima buys into this initiative of the oil palm plantation. In the next 2 years, the impact will be mind-blowing. The 2026 Chebi Ohum Festival was held under the theme Rejuvenating Our Customs for Sustainability and Nature's Connection.
We now move to the Western region where Ikwe, after a $14 million investment in 6 years, a health facility there is still hanging despite the investment. And 6 years ago, GNPC promised a $14 million polyclinic. The site is overgrown today. The project abandoned, and residents of Elembele, they are still pleading for the project to be completed. Rama Smith has the details in this report.
For years, St. Martin de Porres Hospital at Ikwe has been a lifeline, not just for the 3 Nzima municipalities, but for patients as far as La Côte d'Ivoire. Unfortunately, the project to expand that lifeline is now a ghost site. On October 16, 2022, GNPC board chairman Freddie Blay and CEO Dr. Kofi Kodu-Asapong cut the sword for a $14 million upgrade to turn the 60-year-old Catholic facility into a modern teaching hospital. But in 2022, with the project already 60% complete, a change in the leadership of GNPC brought everything to a screeching halt. Today, weeds have swallowed the site, and the residents of the Elembele district can only plead for it to be completed.
But still, the whole of coastal area na wa hanyina na ekura so a ekuna bie kese pa because of hospital nti the yesra ban enye da bia na obi benya sika akọ efia nkwanta 37 military hospital ne ade your facilities wo ha ebetumi asave nti yesra ban ne say ontwa nani na onye yamoa yesre no.
The Elembele District Chief Executive Joseph Ejekum says since assuming office, he and the Member of Parliament Emmanuel Amakofibua have officially written to GNPC for answers.
So this project has been stalled for the past 4 years. From 2021, they started 2020. So from 2021, when they handed over the second term of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, then the project stalled. So they've not attended to this project for the past 4 years. But hopefully when we came, through the support of the Honorable MP, Honorable Emmanuel Amakofibua, the Assembly has officially written to GNPC to inquire why the project has been stalled. We have been assured by the GNPC CEO that in the coming weeks, they will make sure they attend to that hospital. I'm told they are doing a little forensic investigation about it.
The DCE also revealed that the stalled polyclinic is not the only abandoned GNPC project in the area. He cited several others and appealed to the company to expedite the forensic audit it has promised so that all these idle projects can finally see completion.
We have another project at NAS. It's a guest hostel. That too was started in 2020 and it has been stalled. You know, when you go to most of our towns, people thought the town roads and all this were being handled by Ghana Gas. No, it's Ghana Gas and the GNPC. So when you come to Ijokule, when you go to Ebibo Castle, most of the community project town roads that was initiated in 2015 by Honorable Boa. as gas and oil entry rules. All those projects that GNPC started in 2020 has been stopped. So these are the projects by the GNPC that we've written to GNPC to know why it has been stopped and what they call to plead with them to make sure they continue.
Irama Smith, TV3 News, Elembele.
Still in the western region, a mysterious disease is wiping out coconut palms across the Nzima enclave, threatening crop farmers of their livelihood. Well, there are desperate calls by growers who are pleading for researchers to save their plantations before an entire economy collapses. Here's Irama Smith again, this time from the Jomoro municipality.
Once the crown jewel of the Nzima enclave, the coconut sector is now an economic graveyard. For people who once supplied over 80% of the nation's coconut, the collapse is catastrophic. The numbers are brutal as farm incomes in the Jomoro municipality have plunged by about 70%, with municipal revenue having dropped by more than a fifth, that is 22%, and pig farming starved of the coconut byproduct it relied on, which has virtually imploded, crashing by nearly 80%.
Because you have a pamu or mobile na kubeno mutin can be more. But bra start to say from Apmenim downwards to Libo. Like I say, farmers no a moon 90% kubeni ne and have mama affected a friend saying and what you pa.
Best for the bear one cool from bear busum back over banner. Ubesa cocodo kubeni abaning na yellow. Ya report of my Greek for now, the source of disease I kubenu. Into your kubeni nadia, Nina. First now back kube.
Whenever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, or see them yopo.
Also, coming on this matter for me, because the other concern is, can the Deputy Attorney General on their own, or the Attorney General's office on their own, just go and arrest someone who has clearly leave from the court to travel out of the country? Should they not have gone back to the court first of all?
That's a very good question, and I must commend you for your courage to inquire. That's your job. Nobody should gag you, but yeah, nobody should gag you. Allow Bella to ask the questions. Allow her to ask. Allow her to ask the questions. Understand? And I must comment
when your brother is behind bars.
No, because she's asking very good questions.
When the shoe is on the wrong foot.
I recall when I became a lawyer fresh, and I went to court, and after court, I was being insulted heavily by the people on the other side, a labor issue. And I came back to the chamber to complain to my senior. The senior said, it means you are doing a very good job. Keep it up. So it means you are doing a very good job.
Thank you very much.
So, you see, this is a very serious issue, if you ask me. I think this issue is not about Hanan. For me, I think this issue is something bigger than Hanan himself. I think this conversation is one about our constitution and our fidelity to the constitution. Understand that the MPP as they stand now, and their members, some of their members, because of the way they've handled some issues, because of the way they've shown lack of fidelity to our constitution, it is very easy to drive a narrative that seeks to hang them. But I think we ought to understand that politics is not personal, and our fidelity must always be to our constitution, irrespective of who is at the other end. And so, in spite of the extent to which some members of the New Patriotic Party and the manner in which the party itself sat aloof for the government they sponsored to show lack of fidelity to our constitution, we should never deviate from our desire to continuously stay faithful to our constitution. Because in 1992, all of us came together and agreed that the best way in which we can protect our lives, our right to our lives, the best way in which we can protect our rights to our liberties, the best way in which we can protect our right to pursue our own happiness is under a system that is governed by the Constitution and to adopt for ourselves a democracy which was constitutional in nature, that is limiting the powers of state. And to that end, we had a constitution that deliberately separated the powers of government and then gave to the judicial powers to make orders. I think you've noted the issue is where a court has given an order, and yet the order here was not just to give leave. The court actually ordered that Hanan's passport be granted him and that he be allowed to travel for a number of days for medical checkup.
Yeah.
To the fact that he was going outside the country just for an eye issue. It's even an indictment on us. If politicians feel that for just their eye, they don't trust any hospital in Ghana, he has to go outside, is the problem. But that's beside the point. The point is, like you rightly said, does the AG have the powers, in spite of the clear orders of the court, you understand, to arrest Hanan? I think for me that's the issue. The reasons about whether some accounts were frozen or they were not frozen is, for me, it's neither here nor there, because I think there are also the case you mentioned is just one case, but there are also authorities that suggest that the fact that an action has been seized, yes, that does not vacate an order of the court, a freezing order of the court. The circumstances will always what's called dictate that, and the terms of the order itself. You understand? But having said that, my personal view is that where an order of the court still exists, where that order has not been vacated, you understand? Where no step has been taken to procure an order that will stay execution of that order, where that order has not been varied, then also based on the principle that justice must not only be done, it must manifestly be seen to be done. I feel that it was wrong for the AG to have taken a step Eddie took, because like I'm saying, right now, because of the extent to which the MPP has sunk low, it's so easy to support any bid to hang them. But part of the reset agenda also includes a renewal of our commitment to our constitution. I think is a huge part of it. I've said here on so many times that I believe that the MPP in the past were a threat to the rule of law. Understand? Now, because of all that, I think the easiest thing for you to do right now is to sidestep the call for us to be faithful to our constitution in attack of anybody of the MPP stock. But like I'm saying, our focus always must be to stay faithful to our constitution, irrespective of who is at the end of it. Because clearly, like I'm saying, does the executive have the power? Does the executive have the power to truncate a clear order of the judiciary where steps have not been taken, like I said, to either vacate, to vary, or to stay execution? And the answer ought to be no. Ought to be no because of our general good. Understand? So for me, I see this issue more of a constitutional one, more of a call for us to show fidelity to our constitution, irrespective of who. Because I understand they are going to court today. But as it stands, that order of the court still exists. There's still an order of the court. An order of the court that says that Hanan's passport should be released to him. Yeah. An order from the court that says that Hanan should be allowed to travel. I do not know. Maybe if there is, I'm sure Hamza will bring all those issues up. If there's a stay of execution, I do not know. I do not know if there's been a variation of I don't know. I don't know if there is an injunction. There is an injunction application, because you know that a notice of an injunction is as good as an injunction. So I don't know of all the steps that the AG may have taken or can take to more or less freeze or arrest this order. I don't know. But if they are, I'm sure quickly it should be communicated to us, because that impression that this executive is more or less truncating the clear powers of the judiciary does not augur well for our republic, for this democracy, and for our constitution. Because, like I said, this reset agenda must include a renewal of our commitment to our constitution. Because over the period between 2017 and 2024, a lot was done that represented driving of a dagger into the heart of our constitution. Understand? And you recall that one of the issues that we fought why we need a reset was because of the extent to which belief or trust in our political system or in our political institution was failing because of the very terrible governance granted us during the period between 2017 and 2024. And so for me, we cannot be seen to be following that trajectory.
Yeah.
We need to be committed to our constitution because that's the only way in which the purpose for this constitution can be met. And it shouldn't matter whether the person at the receiving end is Chemaun to me. It shouldn't matter whether it is what's his name, Hanan. Shouldn't matter even if it's Ken Ufriata. At all time, our loyalty must always and only be to the constitution of this country.
So that means the constitutional rights of the person has to also be respected. In this case, you don't think that it was respected?
Because, you see, one of the critical oaths that the president took, and for me, that also represents his term of reference for his job, was an oath to be faithful to Ghana, to be faithful to the values and ideals of Ghana. Was an oath to be faithful, to uphold, defend, protect the constitution of Ghana, to dedicate himself to the well-being of all Ghanaians. And for me, that call must always be respected, irrespective of who is at the receiving end.
All right.
Very troubling. I think that respect for judicial authority and rule of law is being trampled upon by governments and agencies of government, because I am struggling to understand why this will happen. This is a man who has gone to court, appealed to the court to be granted leave to travel out of the country. The Attorney General was indeed a court, laid grounds for which, if the gentleman had met, they would not have issues with him traveling. Indeed, these three grounds he raised were all met by Mr. Hanan, and indeed the court went on to grant him the opportunity to travel. This is a man who is not well. This is a man who is supposed to meet his optician today. And this is the man who today is behind BNI cell bars. Why must this happen? The excuse from the Attorney General is that he decided to take money from a frozen account. Maybe my colleagues on the table will help me understand how that is possible. That somebody can take money from a frozen account. Granted, that was the case. Is arresting him, when did this happen? So let me start from, when did that happen?
When did what exactly happen?
The supposed attempt to take money from a frozen account. When did it happen? Why was there no action? Because bear in mind, he was traveling on a Saturday, and this supposed attempt couldn't have happened on a weekend. If indeed it happened, it would have happened during the week. They did not take any action. The man was in town. They did not arrest him. Only waited for him to get to the airport at the time he's traveling out of the country, and he's arrested.
So it says here, per the Deputy Attorney General's post, that it was, however, Mr. Ludibes's attempt to use false means to empty his frozen bank account with Republic Bank on Thursday, which occasioned Saturday night's arrest.
That makes my point. This happened on Thursday. So at what point did they come to the notice of the Attorney General? When? I think Godfrey Dame has challenged them to adduce evidence to back the claim that indeed Hanan attempted to take monies or to withdraw money from the frozen account. We are yet to get the evidence from the Attorney General. So on that score, I will side with what the lawyers for Hanan are saying, because indeed there has not been any evidence to back that claim.
Well, the Attorney General is going to court today, we're told. to seek a review of the court order. And so maybe they would have used that evidence to the court. Is that not where the evidence should be presented?
So what was the point in arresting him? There's a man who has been given permission by the court to travel. The permission that was given by the court, it was not to say that he was going to be away outside the country the rest of his life. He was just going to the hospital and return back to continue the case.
Yeah, I think from the 4th to the 7th.
Yes.
That was the period he was.
And here, the Attorney General says you cannot go. The evidence has not been given. Bear in mind, and I think the soundbite you played, Godfrey Dami talked about it, that there was a court ruling that said that, well, because you have discontinued the case and you have now brought fresh charges, all assets that were frozen, you have to come back to court, seek permission of the court to freeze those assets. Has that been done? It has not been done. So what was the authority on which they said that he was going into an account that was frozen? How was the account frozen? If you've not gone back to court, because you cannot rely on the previous action you took because you decided to discontinue the case. And now you are going to rely on that to say that because of it, he cannot travel. So one, there's no evidence to back the claim that indeed Hanan was attempting to withdraw money from the account.
If evidence is eventually adduced,
it has not been.
Would you retract that statement that...
I said, as we speak, we do not have any evidence.
If it is provided.
Even if there is evidence, the question is, on what authority is the Attorney General saying that he cannot access the account? Because there's a ruling of the High Court, which I have a copy here. There's a ruling of the High Court that says that if you want to freeze his assets, you have to come back because the assets you froze at the time was as part of the process of the first action you took against him in court, which the Attorney General decided, without nobody forcing him, decided to discontinue and start the case afresh. So what was the point? You know what? We are setting a very bad precedent in this country. And I believe that all of us as Ghanaians must watch this. Because today, it is Abdul Hanan. Tomorrow, it could be any other person. Recently, there was something very profound that was said by two cabinet ministers. And I believe maybe the Attorney General should take a cue from that. It was a statement that was made by the Minister for Education, Honorable Haruna Idrisu. And then also a statement that was made by the Minister for Interior.
What did they say?
They said that this whole idea of giving people bail condition of 500,000, 500 million, 300 million, a bail condition you may have to sell your entire community before you can raise. You may have to sell your entire community. And if your community is just like mine, maybe your entire community may not be able to even raise that amount of money. Government should watch it and we must stop it. We are gradually finding every means possible to punish people even before the court pronounced them guilty of an offense. As we speak, Hanan, we've only charged him. He should have his rights and liberties to travel when he wishes to travel. So if the person who has a right to travel indeed has gone to the court and the court says, yes, you can travel, and nicodemously, government officials decide to frustrate him, take him to BNICL and say that it's even weekend, so your lawyers can't even have access to you.
When you say Nicodemus, they have given a reason why they arrested him. And you see, when I
the reason is not backed with any evidence.
I'm just sampling opinions on even our Facebook page. And across the board, a number of people are saying that, what if we get a replay of the Ken Oforiatta incident where he says he was going for healthcare, you know, he needed to see a doctor badly, he went, didn't come back, kept giving excuses, and now we're told that his green card application has been granted. What if that happened to Hanan as well, which is what the Attorney General's office was trying to stop?
If that is the position, then going forward, anyone who is suspected of a crime, we should lock the person up. Because the person could run away. If that is the position, that the mere fact that there is a court action against you, you are not at liberty to your freedoms as an individual, then we should lock them up. That is not the law. The law says you are presumed innocent until a competent court has pronounced you guilty of an offense. Has the court pronounced Hanan guilty of any offense? The answer is no. He has a right as an individual. The mere fact that you've been charged does not mean that you are guilty of an offense. And you have every right. Wait a minute.
Nobody has proclaimed guilt on him necessarily.
So why take away his right to travel?
Why take it away?
Yes.
Well, let's wait and see if there'll be evidence adduced.
You know what?
To indicate
you
that
are
really
pushing a very dangerous argument, and I do not want you to push this argument.
Who is pushing that argument?
You.
I'm asking questions. I'm not pushing any arguments
you are pushing that argument.
I'm not advancing any arguments. I'm asking you questions.
And I have answered
which is my job on this
I have answered
I have every right to borrow into whatever statement you say.
I have answered it, but
which is what I'm doing.
You are still pushing the same argument.
So don't put out the narrative that I'm pushing an argument. I'm asking you a question, and I did say I predicated my statement by saying I'm sampling opinions from people.
There has not been any evidence. So stop. Let us not get into the conversation.
Fifi, hold on.
If you should bring that evidence,
let's have a very friendly conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I will not accept if you say I am advancing an argument, because I'm not here to advance arguments.
That's how it sounds to me.
I'm here to make enquiries, to ask questions. And if you make a statement, I have every right to ask you questions following that.
Okay.
Now, I did mention that based on opinions, even on our Facebook page alone, there are concerns that if he had left, maybe we could have seen a replay of Ken Ofori-Attah's case, which is why they thought, or some people are thinking, that maybe it was right for him to be arrested. But at the same time, we also have a statement from the Deputy Attorney General who says that it's because of A, B, C, and D that he was arrested. I'm asking that if that evidence is provided, will that change your stance on the matter? How is that an advancement of an argument?
I have made the point, and you keep bringing back the conditional statement that if that is the case. And I'm saying that we are not supposed to get into a point of conjecturing. We are not there yet. Tomorrow, if the Attorney General produces evidence, we can have that conversation.
Okay.
On this table, we do not have any such evidence from the Attorney General.
Okay.
And that is the premise I want us to proceed.
Let me bring counsel.
And I am only saying that it is also dangerous that we allow conditional situations to inform our decision going forward. Because if that is the case, then I could also assume that, okay, tomorrow, Hamza may do this. So because of that, his liberty as an individual must be taken away from him. And I think that is a dangerous precedent we should not entertain in this country.
All right.